Morning. I'm going to talk to you about a few things that you may or may not want to hear or like or that. 95% of this country's wealth is in 8% of the population. That's about 5 million out of 66 million people. And not one of them, I believe, pays any form of tax. They're all offshore and things like that. We've never had more billionaires than ever. Now, I want you to imagine this is the amount of tax is due. Okay? This is the amount of tax getting paid. This is the amount of being avoided. These are real situations in our lives today. It's huge. And, I know a lot of you will say, oh, you're unemployed, Kev, you don't pay tax. Thank you, comrade, for your support and your unity. Everyone's banging on about strikes and things like that. And I support all forms of striking. Unions, I'm 100% behind. If you're not in one, why? Because I'm telling you now, okay, what I predict, I think is quite true. The Tory party have elected a Prime Minister that is deliberately there to screw it. It's called self-sabotage, right? But it will come out good. Because in the next general election, the Labour Party will get in. I've got this feeling that they're going to get in, and they're going to do all the nasty stuff the Tory party would like to have done. They're going to pass loads of laws. They are going to sell off the NHS. Okay, it's all about discrediting people. Okay, we don't, the only way they got Corbyn was to make up bullshit. They didn't actually fight him in Parliament. They didn't do their job very well. And unfortunately, loads of people jumped on the bandwagon and believed it. And now we've got a Tory government. They believe the same media that they told me that was lying to them. There you go. Eat your own words. So this 8% couldn't give a monkey's who's Prime Minister. You could elect a piece of wood. I think you have in the Labour Party. But this is the situation. As long as they're making money, as long as they're not paying tax, they're fine. That 8% is what's controlling and running this country. We're not. We ain't got a say. We haven't really. It's that 8%. I think I think it's like 10 or 20 people left this country with all this wealth, with all their wealth, this country would be screwed. So how do we fight a government that is purely out to destroy us? Well, the choices are a strike or revolution. So what do you want? The options of what we can do are getting thinner and thinner and thinner. The British government are currently trying to get out the human rights law. That protects you. That keeps you safe. That stops the old bill just carting you off. For no reason at all. People like me will disappear. I'll be put in prison. I'll be banned from Facebook and Twitter and all the other things. Anything. I'll be banned from it. Because of my views and points of views. It's the other day, if you, in about 60% of the countries, if you mention the word union, you'll go into prison. This guy heading up the RMT, he would have been dead by now. They'd have put a bullet in the back of his head. In 60% of the world. That's the thing. You know, I'm a big human rights campaigner. We're about to have a World Cup in one of the worst countries for human rights, people's rights, workers' rights, LGBTQ rights, everything. They execute people publicly. Okay? This is what they do. They flog and they do all sorts. And I've got friends who had to escape Iran, and twice he got 40 lashes for drinking. This is where you're going to play the World Cup. This is the sort of country you are going to and support. This country will sell arms to anybody. They don't care if they're signed or not signed or even agree with the Human Rights Act. So we haven't got the options. We haven't got an option. There is the only option for this. The only way you are going to get your bills sorted out. The only way things are going to get better for you and me and everybody else is a general strike. There's no option. What is the other option? See, people say to me, "Oh, you're a socialist. You want a revolution." Yeah. Of the mind. I don't want a revolution in the forcing and shooting. No way do I want that. Because that leads to even more chaos. 15% of the population of Britain was affected by the 16th century civil war we had. A majority of them, about 80% of that 15% were killed. Majority were killed or wounded, then being displaced. Honestly, in that 4 years we had that civil war. That's what it does. The Russian Revolution was quick as like that. The culling after, the purging. The French Revolution. The Paris stunk. Now, we have a revolution. You can cater that 20,000, let's say, not 20,000, let's say 5 million, 10 million people are brown bread now. We need a revolution of the mind, and we need to do it in a peaceful way. And you might say to me, "Oh, where's that going to get us?" Gandhi stood up, not just against the British. He stood up against the British Empire. India was the jewel of the British Empire. He stood up to him. He went to see the king. And the king said to him, "You're not having India back." And he said, "We'll see." Martin Luther King. He stood up in the 1960s of the American Empire. What do these two guys do? Did they revolt? Did they revolutionise? Did they shoot people? No, they did it peacefully. They did it peacefully and without any violence. Gandhi said, and I know a lot of people, "Oh yeah, Gandhi's this and Gandhi's that." Yeah, Gandhi was all. I know a lot of you guys, that is from the bloody British media bullshit. And I'm ashamed of you who believe that shite. That comes from British media, not facts. Gandhi, it's incredible. It's incredible, this guy. He said it all about revenge. Poke one eye out, well, then you're going to have to poke everybody's eyes out. There's the old saying, if you want revenge, dig 2 graves. If you're a gypsy traveller, dig loads. Dig a pit, because it's going to go on. Two of the most things said in the revolution are, haven't we just got rid of someone like this, and when's it going to finish? So no, I don't want an armed revolution. I want a revolution of the mind, and I agree with general strikes. Because you've got no other option. We are just hearing the roars of the beast. The beast is about to come. And it will screw you into the ground. Absolutely screw you into the ground. We have over 130,000 children homeless in Britain. Technically. We are in the biggest housing crisis since World War II. For those who are not around from where I come from, I live in Devon. Cornwall is just over there. Literally, just over there. I live in a town right next to Cornwall. We've got to start saying yes. We've got to start supporting our brothers and sisters who are striking. Because they ain't getting paid. When you strike, they don't get paid. We've got to support our brothers and sisters, and we've got to fight for them, and we've got to fight for their rights. And we've got to do this in a proper manner. You know, we talked about those Bristol riots. Those guys who went down for it got 3.5 years. Screwed for life. For life. And I mean that. If they could have proven inciting a riot, that person inciting a riot, he's looking at 10 to 15 years. Comes under the Treason Act. They would literally read out the Riot Act. That's where it comes from. And the first person to throw a stone or anything, that person is the inciter. That person was hung, man. That's how it goes. We are heading towards so much shit. And there are so many people out there who are going to drop us right in it. And we need to speak to each other. This COVID, it's done and dusted. We know where everybody stands. Let's move on. Because while we're fighting, and I've said this from the 6 months, first 6 months of COVID lockdown, I've said this is conquer and divide. And lo and behold, it is. You have the power. You have the power. You have the power. They don't. We outnumber them. They will tell you they've got the power, but they haven't. They've got the wealth, but not the power. You are more powerful than them. Brothers and sisters, I'd love you to support your miners. Support the railway workers and the posties and the communications. Let's stand with them. Let's stand with our brothers and sisters and stand strong. Peace, love and out.